Showtime, fellas. We up. We in here.
What's up?
I'm glad we got our little technical difficulties figured out.
No, we didn't. we just said fuck technology for a night.
Hey, yeah, we can wing it because that's what we do as men. Sometimes things don't go as planned and we have to make adjustments to see things through to the end. We're good about that.
I don't know, man. That sounds like a lot of work.
Well, you know what? As men, we should have a plan. Okay. And I understand that some people have a plan and then they have a backup plan and then they have a backup plan to back up the backup plan. Okay. But you got to understand me, the way the
backup plan finds out about the other backup plan and then things get messy.
Well, here's the thing. My plan B is to make sure my plan A don't fail.
That's right.
So I need a backup plan, dog. I put the time into planning and preparation where plan A is going to get
tired. When you have a plan to back up your plan, then you're planning on your plan.
TK. Like yeah, that's what we do as men. We make plans, we prepare, we make preparations. Now, and a lot of this goes into what we're talking about tonight, Johnny. Tonight, we're talking about controlling women versus leading women. Oh. And I know, and you know, shout out to Johnny Dumbbells. Part of the reason why I made the thumbnail the way I did is because Johnny Dumbbell tells young men who don't know how to lead women that they need to learn dancing, ballroom dancing, certain types of dancing where they're leading the woman throughout the dance. So,
and learning a little rhythm won't kill you either, fellas.
Hey man, it's funny that you say that, dude, because when I lived in Ohio, my boss at a chimney sweep company, man, he was actually like number 2 or number 3 in the whole entire United States for ballroom dancing, man. He taught me how to West Coast swing, how to tangray, I don't know, all kinds of shit, man. But Johnny's absolutely right about that.
The sea walk.
Well,
no, nothing like that. Like the West Coast swing. He taught me like the West Coast swing. What's the other one that they do over in Brazil or whatever? I forget. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, I think JC's absolutely right. Look, hey, Bill, you remember, man, back in the day when we used to climb cell towers? They used to make for our comp training, man. They used to make us climb up 150 or 200 feet or whatever, and you had to rappel down, descend down onto someone else's back who was just hanging there limp. And then you had to descend on down with them, get them unhooked from their carabiners and stuff, and drag them away from the tower and then administer CPR and shit. But I'm telling you what, man, when you do something under pressure like that in a dangerous situation, you find out the men from the boys real quick. Just by the way that guys respond to things, man. You know what I mean? And going through rigorous training like that, man, it'll turn you into a man real quick if you're not.
Yeah.
All right. Give a round of applause for that. Now, you know, I think it's important. We have to start this conversation off this evening talking about controlling women and some of the ways that these bitch ass dudes assert control over women, how they weasel their way into situations, how they cuff women, how they use their circumstances against them. I'm sure, and you know, we have a lot of women that pop into our live streams from time to time. A lot of them could probably elaborate on some of the stuff more than the men on this panel because we're not out there doing bitch ass shit to women. So I'm sure they got a lot of horror stories about controlling and controlling guys. And look, if you clicked on the stream hoping to get tips on how to be more controlling, dog, you really picked the wrong stream tonight. Let me tell you, just click off of this right now because we're going to talk about how the only reason you would be trying to control women to begin with is there's something wrong with you. Essentially, you have some kind of insecurities. You have something in you that you don't value yourself. You think that you need to hang on to these women, like you're looking for something in these women, and that's why you cuff them in these situations and put them in situations where they can't get out of easily. And I need to, it's something Johnny Dumbbell talks about a lot, and I want to lump them into this conversation too. Are all the men that try to sneak in under the friend zone radar? Because you know what? Yeah, you're not really controlling women, but you're trying to manipulate them. So y'all are in the same ballpark. So we're going to talk about that tonight too. Now, everybody here will tell you that it's your responsibility as a man to leave women better off once your time with them has run its course than they were than when you met them. You give them the game, you give them knowledge, you make things better for them going forward. And even though things might not work out with you, they're going to be better women later on in life because of the time you invested in them to make them who they are, shall we say. But before we can get into that and how you should lead women and your responsibility in leading women, and fellas, the results you get from leading women, and it has to start from the very beginning. Like Johnny it talks about setting boundaries. When you set boundaries in a relationship, gentlemen, you are leading women doing that. Johnny, you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Right. Well, one of the things that I tell young men, especially, in situations where, I've heard so many things about guys who have anxiety when their girlfriend goes out, or guys who they really worry when their girlfriend's going to go do this thing or that thing. And my question to them is, listen, if that was something that bothered you that much, why would you not set that boundary at the very beginning of your relationship? Let her know, look, I'm not comfortable dating girls who go out to bars and clubs. That's not controlling. That's saying, hey, look, this is what I expect of you if you want to be my girlfriend. And if you don't want to go by those conditions, that's cool, man. We keep things the way they are right now, or we can cut things off. No worries. I'll look for somebody more compatible. I wish you luck in doing the same. But that's not what a lot of these guys do. They mold themselves to fit the girl that they want to date, aspire to date her, and they try to rise to the occasion to get to be with her. And then 6 months down the road, when they're together, she wants to go out with her friends. Now he has a problem with it. Well, no, man. Now you're trying to manipulate her into not going. You are trying to ask that she not do those things with her friends. And look, is she up to no good when she goes out to the bars and clubs? Let's face it, statistically, probably. But here's the thing. That's not the point. The point is you did not set that boundary at the very beginning. And because of that, you cannot just tell her, hey, I don't want you to go. Now, you can tell her how you feel about it, but if she doesn't care about that, if she doesn't respect you or value your relationship more than she values the potential good time, it's too late for you to have said, hey, you crossed the line with me. She may not have even known that line was there. She probably did. She probably knew you were a little insecure, especially 6 months down the road. They can smell that like a fart in the car with the windows up. But remember, it's one thing to sense it. It's another thing to actually see it. And when she sees that, man, that respect she may have for you is going to diminish. But the point is this. You didn't set that boundary from the very beginning. I can't feel sorry for you, bro.
We lost TK again. I was just about to ask him what he had to say about that.
I can't say nothing about that. I've been dealing with technology issues all night. I'm just glad. Here's my thing. I'm just glad that my tablet doesn't actually have human feelings, because I said some hurtful things to this piece of technology a few minutes ago.
It'll get over it, man. It'll get over it.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Here's TK back again.
Alexa and I have made up.
Now, I know somebody beefing with Alexa right now. We can't talk about that. But all right, back to the topic tonight: controlling women versus leading them. All right, Jill wants to know. She's got a question, gentlemen. Is it okay if women set boundaries? That's Absolutely. A very good question. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's important that both people set boundaries. Here's the thing that you got to remember, though. In setting those boundaries, you got to set them early. You got to set them, assertively. these are things, I mean, first of all, let somebody know what your deal breakers are if that's the case. Now, I wouldn't go discussing that on the first, second, third date, but what I would be saying is when you start seeing things getting more serious, and let's face it, you know when things are getting more serious, when you sense that, yeah, I think that's the time to have the talk. And part of the talk is not just, hey, what are we? Are we committed or are we just, doing this? No, the talk also includes what kinds of things are deal breakers for you in a relationship? What kinds of things can you not deal with on the long-term basis? Because after all, the goal of all of this is eventually a long-term relationship, presumably. So the question has to be, what are your boundaries? What do you not date people who, do this or that? You got to make sure that gets openly discussed as soon as you start to catch those feelings, because if you don't, and you bring that up later down the road, not only does it sound like a sudden quirk of yours, but it also sounds like a sudden attempt at manipulation control. Got to set those boundaries there, but absolutely, absolutely. Not only is it okay for them, I recommend it.
Now, Johnny, I got to say, women, a lot of times their boundaries, they're like preferences. Okay. And depending on the guy, some of that stuff changes. I'm saying we talk to young men about having standards, but it's like women have more preferences that are variable depending upon the guy they're interested in. Like, for instance, a woman can say, well, I'm not going to date a guy with kids because I'm a bunch of kids because I'm not dealing with a bunch of moms. And then, well, what happens if he has a bunch of kids, but they're all with the same mom? Is it okay then? It's more preferences like that. But as far as setting boundaries and saying, look, I'm not okay with you doing this, I think a big part of that is what we talk about a lot here is the vetting process and being able to, well, we talk about vetting the women that you allow into your life. But I don't think it would be much different for women themselves, too. They should have boundaries and things that they're, like you were saying, deal breakers.
They should have their own process, really.
My question to Jill would be, what kind of boundaries do you have for yourself in your own personal relationships? What are some of your deal breakers?
And look, these can be specific things, too. I mean, you could say, I don't date guys who have a hammer toe. Look, it doesn't matter how ridiculous your boundaries might seem. If that's your boundaries and you're letting those things be known in the very beginning, and that person continues to pursue the relationship with you, then they must be okay with those boundaries. If not, then no. I would say, hey, let's cut our losses apart as friends, and have good things to say about each other in the future.
Now, TK, I'm sure you run into a lot of women who have had some controlling exes in the past. And is it as shocking to you as it is to me that these women put up with these kind of insecurities in dudes, that guys that even go as far as to tell them what they can wear?
Well, they do, man, because they have insecurities themselves. You know what I mean? They let their own insecurities open the door for the guy's insecurities to, change the relationship. It's the same with the guy. You know what I mean? If a guy's insecure, those insecurities open the door for other insecurities.
Well, yeah. I think with guys, it probably manifests itself a little bit different, like with their insecurities.
Yeah.
It could be from checking their phone or demanding a woman share their location with you, or just hey, Johnny, what about you? Have you seen where things get so bad on social media where the couple now has to share a Facebook page?
Oh God. Okay. So listen, I could do an entire TED talk on this. So knowing what I do and listen, I'm not picking on anyone in particular, but I know that in the profession that I'm in, and by the way, it'll be 10 years tomorrow that I've been a personal trainer. But anyway, in this, he's doing it. Thank you, brother. But anyway, in the 10 years I've been doing this, I always thought when I first started doing this that I would start hearing a lot of angry, jealous husbands, angry, jealous boyfriends, and a lot of that stuff. And I mean, you hear that here and there, but the biggest thing I've noticed is that when two personal trainers are together, they almost always have a joint Facebook account. Like it's only usually I've only ever seen it when they're both trainers, but they almost always have a joint. I would say 3 out of 4 of them have a joint Facebook account. And so here's the thing: like I'm just like, all right, you know what? I'm staying out of that, but I'm not even going to try to speculate why. But I think we're all thinking the same 2 or 3 possibilities. And but I mean, there is something to be said for insecurity, and it doesn't have to be a not so good looking person that feels insecure. I've noticed the most insecure people that I've run into, especially when it comes to women, have been the hottest ones you run across.
Johnny, I'll tell you what, I got another question for you this evening. Do you think being possessive over a woman is a sign of trying to control a woman?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of men think that that's, especially young men, think that that is alpha behavior. I remember being a young man myself in my early 20s and things like that, thinking that I was an alpha because I made sure people knew who my woman was and that she was mine. And guys, let me tell you, I know that that makes you feel strong to be able to make that claim, and especially if she goes along with it. But remember 2 things. Number 1, she's never yours. It's just your turn. And number 2, that other people see you do that and realize that is not alpha behavior at all. As a matter of fact, it's like we say about anything, whether you think you're the best fighter in the world, whether you think you're the best lover in the world, whether you think you're the coolest guy in the world, if you have to say it out loud, especially if you have to say it out loud repeatedly, is it true? If you're an alpha, if you're an alpha, the last thing that's going to come out of your mouth is "I'm an alpha."
And this alpha male bullshit, that's bullshit.
Shout out to Kevin Gates.
And this alpha male bullshit, that's bullshit.
All right.
That's funny.
DK, man, you keep cutting in and out tonight, man. So I just want to get your take on, is being possessive over a woman a form of trying to control one?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think so. Of course. Because if you have to have control in order to be possessive. You know what I mean? You don't become possessive without any kind of control in the first place.
Okay, so you're saying and I, like I said, I don't really know how to work. I have a hard time understanding this myself because that's
I
not
think it
how
goes
I
hand in
move.
hand.
You know,
I think it goes hand in hand with each other.
Okay. Now, obviously, the direction we want to go with the ladies is leading them. We want to be leading them, and it's important for you guys to gauge. All right, man. Shout out to Johnny Dumbbell. He's always saying how to gauge indicators of interest in women and the different signs that they'll show you. And Johnny was talking about this back in 2008 before anybody in the Red Pill came up with the phrase choosing signals. Johnny was teaching and mentoring young men on how to gauge indicators of interest.
That's because by then I'd had my heart and other body parts proverbially dragged through the mud. And I think once you've been served enough times, you've had enough failures to teach people to find those successes. Well, so believe me, it wasn't because I was wise; it was because I was foolish. But
when it comes to leading women, it goes hand in hand because you can easily gauge their indicators of interest by providing them with instructions and leading them by saying, hey, meet me at this bar at this time Friday night, and she shows up. She's now following your instructions, and that is a huge indicator of her interest in you. Another one that I like to use, I'll give you all a little cheat code for some of y'all watching. Another way you can tell how into you a woman is by how much money she's spending on you. Okay, women, let me tell you something, gentlemen. Shout out to KZag. Hashtag her debit card works too. Hashtag is she paying, she's staying, because women do not spend money on guys that they're not into. They're not wasting their money on you. So, again, I'm getting off track here because we're talking about leading women and not the things that they spoil you with once they realize that you are a leader and that guy. So, Johnny, you want to talk a little bit about how some of these guys now, and some of it comes into setting boundaries and expanding on that. But you guys need to be giving women instructions for just about everything. I want all you young guys watching this, I want you to think about like this. Okay. You asked a woman to go into the kitchen and make you a sandwich. All right. But you don't provide her with any instructions of what your expectations are for your sandwich. Like what you like on your sandwich, my dude, whether it's turkey, pepperoni, Swiss, provolone, pepper jack, lettuce, however you like your sandwich. If you can't give that woman with the instructions on how to make you your sandwich, dog, she's basically making you the last dude sandwich she was with. So you know,
and I mean, I'm looking at the sandwich as a metaphor when he says that, because remember, we're not just talking about sandwiches. We're talking about the way you do things behind closed doors. We're talking about the way things you do outside of closed doors. So, I mean, we're not just talking about a sandwich, but if we're going to use that as a metaphor, my thing is this. Like Bill said, if you don't tell her what kind of sandwich you like, you might be thinking ham and Swiss, and she comes back with a PB&J. And listen, I love both. But
she can't read your mind, same as you can't read her mind.
Now she'll expect you to, and look, let it go, figure it out. You're gonna have to go by the body language, as we're trying to tell you here. But remember that you're dealing with somebody who, like Bill said, doesn't know you just yet, hasn't learned you just yet, and we're not saying train her like an animal. No, we're saying she's got to be able to learn you. But if she doesn't respect you, if she doesn't have that attraction to you, she's not going to bother to learn you. So you might get a PB&J when what you thought you were going to get it was a burger.
Yeah, but you ain't gonna get a PB&J with no fucking love made in it. That's for sure.
Here's what's really important. If you ask that woman to meet you at a bar at 7:00 on Friday, or you ask that woman to make you a sandwich and she doesn't, she just did you a favor, because that means you need to get rid of her right now. Stop wasting your time with her because she doesn't want to follow your lead. Right. So, and shout out to Coach Grand Cam. He would say that the woman is not open to your seduction. So, and I think a lot of guys don't know how to read that. And yeah, it goes back to Johnny Dumbbell and his indicators of interest, because women will let you know if they're open to your seduction. There are signs there that where they want you to pursue it and take it further. It's like they're running around like little gazelles with their little neck out, and they just want you to bite them on the neck and drag them up the tree sometime, Johnny. At least that's what I experience in my life.
Yeah, I mean,
back, TK, you good?
Man, this internet's like pissing in the fucking wind.
That's the kind of West by God gold I've been waiting for all night.
Hey, that's the kind of stuff I need to clip and make a little sound bite. Yeah. TK's always saying.
Yeah.
Dude, we got to get a couple buttons dedicated to like TK's things that he says here.
Bless that bitch.
I got the box back on here. That's one of my favorites.
He was drunk when he said that.
All right, Jill said that sounded kind of hot. Jill, you have to elaborate.
All right, I'm getting on the feed to see what these people are saying, because that sounds interesting.
All right, so we've definitely covered that. Basically, let's recap. Okay, so when you guys do things to try to control women, eventually they're going to sniff that out. They're going to lose respect for you, and you're ultimately going to lose the woman. No matter which way you go about it, once your insecurities start showing, she said, biting on the neck and dragging up a tree.
Oh, they call that leopard style. That's all. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh man, shout out to
Serengeti hot right there.
Mindset.com. That's what Steve Dean teaches you to do when you approach women, dog. Bite them on the neck, drag them up a tree without a moment's hesitation. As soon as you do that woman,
Oh,
you
sure.
decide you like her, you need to approach immediately and find out if she's interested in you. I mean, because look, you might not like her. You might go up and have a conversation with her, and she might have a boyfriend. She might not be into you, or she might think that, who knows. But the point is you do it immediately. You do it without hesitation. And Steve talks about it being, like on the hunt, like you're an apex predator dog. You're biting her on the neck. You're dragging her up a tree.
Yeah, you're gonna find in life, man, that hesitation gets you nowhere.
More is lost by indecision than wrong decision. I
That's
gotta
right,
say.
man. Yeah. Yep.
Now,
Especially in a quick life or death situation, man. If you hesitate, more than likely you're gonna die. You gotta learn how to think on your feet, improvise.
Now, I'd like to jump back to leading women a little bit more because, like I said, it's really essential to find out if you have a future with this woman or not, if she is going to be willing to follow your lead. Because a lot of people talk about 50-50, Johnny. But the truth of the matter is that men and women, we're not equal. I mean, when people say that men and women are equal, the first thing I ask them is, do you guys take turns going to check that little bump in the night? Let me ask TK. All right, TK. So we're talking about how men and women aren't equal right now. And one of the first things I always say are do y'all take turns going to check that little bump in the night? Sometimes the dude stay in bed and let the woman go check it, and like y'all take turns.
Nah, man. I think that's a job for the guy myself. I'm not sending my old lady to go check if I think someone's breaking in the house or not. You know what I mean? I'm going down there strapped and fucking taking care of business.
That woman in harm's way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that she couldn't handle the situation, but I mean, it all boils down to who's been in those situations more. Who do you think, me or her? Definitely, probably me. I've been in the midst of home invasions before and stuff like that. So I'm going to think a lot clearer when it comes to shit hitting the fan than she is. I think that's what it boils down to, really, for me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when it's survivors on a deserted island or the few survivors of the nuclear apocalypse, I'm going to venture to say you won't find a whole lot of feminists there. That situation. Look, I'm not trying to be ignorant, and I know I'm coming off a little bit ignorant saying that, but the truth of the matter is that, there are certain roles that, look, we don't take on because we think it's politically correct. We don't understand why we take on those roles. It's biological, and I preach biology all the time.
We're given testosterone for a reason.
Yeah.
We're given amounts of testosterone that we have for a reason, and women aren't. There's a reason for that. There are certain activities.
No, it's absolutely correct, and that's one of those things that I think people are either forgetting or being conditioned to forget nowadays. And that's exactly why we're here, because we're wondering why, there's this lack of masculinity, and let's face it, even though it's being conditioned out of us, you're still biologically conditioned to look for it as a woman. You're still biologically conditioned to exude it as a man. I mean, that's life. That's not only life, that's life science.
Well, listen, if my old lady was on a SWAT team, then yeah, I would say to her, you know what I mean? Go right ahead. You want to check the situation out? You go right ahead. Obviously she's going to be more equipped for that situation than I am. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how it boils down to with me. I don't feel that a woman should be put into danger, but if that female is more apt to being around danger than you are, that situation than you are, then she, I've seen women, man, who are more capable than men are in situations, many of them.
Right, but and that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about how men and women are equal, and how men have certain responsibilities, and like Jim was saying, okay, so we were talking about we were talking about if they take turns going to check if there's a bump in the night. Jill said she was the first one out of bed. So, Jill, my first question is, how can you respect the guy that you're with if he's willing to just sit back and hide under the covers while you go see what's going on down there? Like, now, TK did give us the scenario where he's smashing a lady cop again, and she's on the SWAT team, and she's bout it, and she's going down there to check it out, because she's a better shot than him, and I get that. So when you say that you're
hey man, for our tax money, she sure as hell better be.
So I know you're saying that you're no damsel in distress, and nobody is saying that you need saved, but
he's saying, how can you respect that? How can you respect a man to not get up with?
This was my point, Jill. Thank you for helping me make my point. You had bigger balls than him, and you divorced because you didn't respect him because he wasn't leading you properly.
Because you were looking for a certain level of masculinity, and you had to make up for that part, that extra bit. It's like I look at it as Madden ratings. Okay, the masculinity we'll abbreviate it MSC. And with 100 being the best, hey, he might have been like in the 60s or something. Whatever it was. Look, I don't know the guy. But yeah, if you're making up for that other, 33 or 42 or whatever's left, and this is making him fall short of what his role and everything like that is supposed to be in this relationship as the leader thereof. Yeah, man, I get it.
Okay, and Johnny, you hit on what I was getting to as who is the leader in the relationship. And that's kind of why we started talking about where I was going with how men and women aren't equal and they're not partners. Okay, you're not. As a man, it's your responsibility to lead that relationship. A lot of guys don't even know how to lead their own life. Okay, they can't even lead themselves. They follow other people. They worry about stuff. They have anxiety, especially when it comes to women. I see a lot of young guys out here who have so many problems, and it's, kind of like what Joe was saying. He's not a man. So, and that's why we're out here doing live streams. That's why we're taking our time out, because we realize what a severe lack of masculinity there is out in the world right now. And we try to do these live streams because we know that people, young men, are going to find these. They're going to come across these, and we're hoping that they can benefit from them.
And moreover, we're hoping that they understand that no matter what society tells you, masculinity is not a dirty word. Okay.
Right.
But remember that if you're not exuding it properly, and you're trying to over exude it or under exude it, either way, my friend, you are punching out of your weight class. Be who you are, and don't be afraid to let that show. Be assertive when you're saying "excuse me" or when you're scooting through a group of people. Excuse me, fellas. Confident tone of voice. And the thing of it is, people are not stupid. They know if you're faking it. You just got to be able to exude that confidence and that assertiveness in your own life. And then you can worry about a relationship. But for the love of God, be assertive with what you want, at work. Be assertive with what you want with your friends. Be assertive with what you want at the damn bagel shop. Okay? But have the big boy voice when you tell them what you want.
Well said. All right, gentlemen. Now, is there anything else you guys would like to talk about when it comes to controlling women versus leading women tonight? Because we did get a little bit late start, and we are going to wrap this up a little bit early. Go ahead, Johnny. You go first.
Yeah, I mean, understand one thing is that I know that most guys are controlling without intending on being controlling. They don't mean to, but what they say comes across as manipulative. What they say comes across as controlling when what they really wanted was for her to respect him more. What she wanted. The point is this. You cannot force someone to respect you. You cannot control someone's thoughts. You can't control their actions. The point of the matter is, you can try controlling all you want, but it's an illusion. You can't control a woman, nor should you want to. The point is this. If you controlled her, and even if you did succeed in doing so, which I can't stress enough you can't, but even if you did manage to control her, now, why is she with you? Is it because of your masculinity? Is it because of your value? Is it because of your character, your charisma? No. It's because somehow you managed to make her believe she couldn't do better. But let's face it, 99 times out of 100, you're not just going to be able to do that without there being some sort of connection. And the thing of it is, it wouldn't matter even if you could. You will never be able to control her. So what do we mean by control? We mean self-control. We mean controlling yourself, controlling the controllables. That means your attitude throughout the day. That means your goals throughout the year. That means your ambitions throughout whatever it is you're going through. I dropped 55 pounds over the course of a couple of years, not because I wanted other people to think I was cool, not because I wanted other people to think that I was a leader or in charge of something. The only thing I needed to be in charge of to do that was my own life. And guess what? Ever since then, I've been making my own choices since. Now it's your turn.
Johnny, I think a lot of it comes from an insecurity in the guys themselves.
Sure.
Especially when it comes to like handcuffing and hanging on to women because you're familiar with it and you don't realize how destructive and toxic they are for your situation at the time. Because a lot of times these women that you're trying to control, not only do they really don't want to be with you, that's why you have to, control and manipulate the situation anyway. You guys don't realize what a better situation you could have with someone else if you just weren't insecure with yourself. If you learn to love yourself and well, first you got to learn to like yourself. Some of you guys don't even like yourself. You can't tell me 3 things about you that you even like. Sure, you can rattle off hobbies or things society expects of you, but when we're talking about personality characteristics that are truly your own, a lot of you guys don't even like yourselves. So I just want to, there's help for you, gentlemen. You can reach out to any one of us on this panel, and we're all a little bit different. And some of us will probably say some things that maybe you don't want to hear. But if you guys are really ready to learn and you're really ready to grow and you don't like the way your life is and you're worried about what some woman is doing, please reach out to us. We can help you. We can show you there's a better way. You don't have to worry about what these women are doing. You can respect yourself. Things will get better for you. And you can find a woman that'll be down to do all the stuff that you're looking for without you having to constantly know where she's at all the time or tell her what to wear or whatever other bitch ass shit y'all be doing to try to control women. Telling you guys the right way to do it is to lead women, because what you'll find are women that really want to be there with you. And I think that's what a lot of you guys are looking for, man. You're looking for women that want to be with you, but you just don't know how to find them. And you don't realize that you got to go through dozens of women to find, a few good ones that are worth your time. You are going to have to go through women that aren't, and you cannot give them passes on their looks. It should always be based on their character and not a bunch of makeup.
As long as you monitor their actions and keep your head about you, you can have a lot of fun doing that vetting process too, let me tell you.
Yeah.
All right, DK, you want to speak on tonight about controlling women versus leading them before we wrap this up?
I'm probably going to cut out, man, before too long. But look, just like you said, Bill, you can't, if you have to control a female rather than lead her, then there's something wrong there. So as long as you fellas take a look at yourself and how your relationship's going, and think to yourself, am I having to put cuffs on this girl, for her to do what I want, or is she doing it willingly? That's the difference between leading a female the right way and trying to control one. Take a look at yourselves, man, your life and how it's going and how your relationship's going, and make it one move at a time, man, like you're on a chessboard if you have to. And if you do it that way, you're a lot more apt to make the right moves than the wrong ones.
Well said. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up tonight. We'll be back next week with something new. We're gonna come out with something new after Thanksgiving on Mondays for you guys. We do like to change it up every now and then. We are going to do one or two more of the dating shows this year, and we are probably going to take some time off at the end of the year around holidays and come back strong first of the year.
Actually, I will not. I personally, Johnny Dumbbell, will not be taking a break towards the end of the year because I know that some of you people out there still think that January 1st is the only time that you can make a decision to change your life. Now, if you decide to make that decision on January 1st, absolutely fantastic. I'll be there waiting for you. Hopefully, I'm not too busy. But if you decided that tomorrow was the day you woke up and decided this is not good enough, I need to do better, man, get a hold of me. I swear.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
right on, man.
All right. I will see you, gentlemen. I don't know if we're doing a show or not Thursday night. You know what? Let's end the stream and let's talk about this right now. We out.
Peace.